here. It's Yo talking again from Texas. Again, not his. That comes back. The name of this caller was from a mistype or mispronunciation earlier. We've just stuck with Yo, so now he's just Yo. He's calling back. What's going on, Yo?
Hello, Yo. Hello, y'all.
How's it going?
Well, I'm actually kind of like disturbed whenever I talk about what I would like to talk about.
Okay, what do you mean?
I found out recently in this little small town of mine that I live in, my wife got asked if we've been to the hanging and the wedding. And we looked into it. And what this little town likes to do is put on a fake hanging. They put a harness on a person. They put them on a horse, remove the horse, and the person hangs from a harness. And they put them in a coffin, and then they like to have a little wedding, a shotgun wedding. But the reasons why they hang the person are for heretical reasons. Like, it's really disturbing.
Wait, so when you say heretical reasons, do you mean this is like a Christian sect that is like pretending to hang like a non-Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I immediately guessed the Christian thing because you're calling in from Texas, and like that's the only answer to that question. So, okay, so they do. Is the wedding real? Like, are these people actually getting married, or is that
No,
also
the wedding it's all fake.
okay?
They put it on and they change the characters every year. And
Is this in telling of
kids?
Is this like a real story that happened that they're doing like a historical reenactment of, or what's the deal?
That's kind of how they present it, as it's a historical thing, but it's very loosely based on history, and they make up the characters. Like it would be one thing to me, like if they were actually like presenting, a very one of those moments in history that were, stand out, and they're based on real people. I could get the idea of, somewhat. It still wouldn't take on the way they look at it, though. Like they
they get a little something out of it, right? That's like a little kind of sick, right? Like they kind of enjoy it a little bit. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it. Like I remember I used to hang out at Baylor University. I didn't go to school there, but I hung out there in Waco, and there was this apologetics club, and I was talking to this guy, and I can't remember the exact parameters of this conversation, but basically he was talking about the witch trials that happened in this country, and somehow he was trying to make the argument to me that this was a good thing that happened in the history of this country because they got rid of like actual witches. Like that was his position. And if you come at it from our worldview, which is, oh, witches aren't real and they just killed people for no reason, it's really fucked up. Like it's not a good thing to have. And like I can see how in some small town in Texas that they're going to do this reenactment because this is like a ceremony to like remind people what happens when you leave the faith or go against the grain, go against kind of the social order. And there's some people that still have really strong feelings about their identity and it kind of being lost on everyone else. So yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Just because I'm from Texas too. I know people that are like that. I know people that have these kind of really dark beliefs, kind of dark undersides that they don't always bring out unless they're surrounded by other people who they can trust and who they can, kind of, it's like that. It's like those people that always say those kind of jokes that are really uncomfortable for a lot of people, but they think you're cool. So, they'll tell you what they think about stuff, and they may not say it in the public. So yeah, that's weird and that's sad. I'm sorry you had to witness that.
Yeah, it's almost like, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm stunned by it. Like, I don't even really know. Like, I'm like, damn, because I bought here.
Mm-hmm.
I have a place here, but now I'm like, fuck. Like, I came from a place that was a lot more secular. Like, all the kids I hung out with, we're all different in our own ways and stuff, but we're never like this. Like, what they're promoting and like putting into their kids' eyes, I'm just like,
but people,
I'm messed up about it.
Obviously, there's people who are at that thing that are probably coming at it from a darker place, but there's also people that are probably there that are just doing it because that's just the thing they've done every year. Like, I can't tell you how many people I've seen.
It's weird. It's so weird.
Weird.
I don't know how to handle it.
I know you know this too, yo, because again, you're in Texas. How many people have Confederate flags around their house? And to them, that's just a symbol for them. That's really cool, that they really like. That they don't understand fully the context or maybe the history of that and why that would be offensive to some people.
Yeah, some of them are like, oh, it's part of our history,
right.
And it's our rebellious freedom,
Yeah, some people want to be contrarian. Some people, that's just their kind of nature, and that's kind of their way of expressing it. So it wouldn't surprise me that if some of the people who are at this thing and celebrating this are kind of doing it for that reasons and don't really understand the full implications of their actions.
I got a question, yo. Are they? When you found out about this, are these people actively doing it out in public, or are they doing this shotgun wedding and hanging kind of in somebody's backyard in their own seclusion?
No, it's out in public. It's a big thing. Like, they have food, they have the town hall. I mean, it's like a thing they do called Heritage Day that happens, and it's like,
of course, it's called Heritage
Day. My town is so religious. They have crosses on the courthouse. They have crosses on the courthouse.
Yeah, that was another thing, because you mentioned this in the description of the call that the call screener wrote here. You wanted to talk about the religious imagery at the courthouse, and specifically, you wanted advice on that, right?
I would take some advice, but
okay.
I will say this: I have gotten a hold of FFRF, and they have told me that there was a case in Boston where there was a cross up. So right now that case is kind of like it's
taking precedent.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything at this time that can actually be done about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the FFRF is always the one that I would recommend to people always. I even reported something to the FFRF one time that I saw happening at a government instituted program in Waco, but that's another story for a different day. But yeah, they're just one organization. They just have so many people. They get reports from people all the time. And like violations of church and state happen pretty much every day. And it doesn't take the precedent that maybe it should sometimes. I mean, to a lot of people, it's just not a big deal. But it is a big deal. There's a reason why those rules are there. And when you start to accept a little, then you start to accept a lot, So it sounds like maybe the town that you lived in is a bit different from what you thought. And that can be kind of a culture shock. But thankfully, you got Truth Wanted that you can tell me about this, right? So you don't feel alone. So, yeah.
This really reminds me of something that Christopher Hitchens said in one of his, and actually a couple of his different debates. And he says, the religious people, he doesn't really mind if, I don't mind if you have your toy that you play with, and your toy is your belief. and you can have all your friends over to your house to play with your toy. It becomes an issue when you bring it out in public, and it becomes an issue when you tell me and my children that we have to adhere and come play with your toy with you. That's when it becomes a problem. If these people were in their own backyard having their own Heritage Day or whatever they want to call it, and unfortunately, personally, I would think, why are you putting your kids through this? You're teaching your kids an ideology. You're making them growing up not knowing that, not believing in what you're teaching is even possible. But if they were in the seclusion of their own backyard, not putting it out to the town or at town hall or the courthouse or wherever they're doing this out in public, I mean, there's nothing really we can do about it. So it just reminded me of what Christopher Hitchens used to say.
Yeah, and the reason why this is important, even in cases like this that seem really small, if I saw crosses out here in the courthouse in Austin, which would never freaking happen, by the way, that people would lose their minds. But to me, what that says is that is a courthouse that's not representative of me or my interests and doesn't care. I'm not in consideration of their services. It's like it to me, it stands to say that, hey, there are other people's beliefs don't count and don't matter. And I don't think that's true. I think this is a country of Muslims. I think this is a country of Christians. It's a country of atheists, Buddhists, and all kinds of people. And
it's different. It's a melting pot.
It's a melting pot, baby. And we have to serve all people equally under the law. We cannot give special consideration for one particular system of religion or another. So, thanks for calling. Thanks for telling us this story. It sounds like you're still processing what you saw there. I hope you get some comfort and relief out of this conversation. And I look forward to talking to you again, my friend. You take care.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yeah. Man, that sucks. That sucks that you had to see that. That sucks that, there's some people I'm thinking there's people that would hear that and just think like, what's the big deal? It's just the festival. It's just whatever. It's like, well, that's your community of people that you grew up with your entire life. Obviously that he doesn't know these people individually personally, but it's, we still think that the area we live in kind of represents our values in some way, especially if you're from a smaller town. And it's like, if you see that and it just kind of reveals to you something that you just didn't think about before. And I've experienced that with people I've known for a long time who have expressed a belief to me for like that beliefs on like transgender people or beliefs on like other minorities and stuff like that. And it's just like, wow, like that's shocking. And I'm saddened that you think that way because, now I feel like either we have to have a 30-minute conversation of decompressing that idea or we just never talk about this again. Because it's like, I can't work with that. So yeah. Kind of sad, but hope things get better. I hope the FFRF can get to you or somebody else or something, but